Award shows. Well, they are meant to celebrate the best in music, culture, and creativity. But as we've seen countless times, especially with live events, things don't always go according to plan. From controversial winners to awkward stage moments, drama is never too far behind. And when it comes to the MTV Africa Music Awards, shock value has never been at a premium. Things have definitely gotten messy. In this video, we unpack some of the most controversial, awkward, and downright shocking moments that left fans confused, critics talking, and social media buzzing. In 2008, MTV Networks Africa launched the MTV Africa Music Awards, also known as the Mamas. The awards were created and executive produced by Alex Okosi and Jean. The Mamas became the third Pan-African Music Awards of their kind, aiming to be the continent's own celebration of music excellence, spotlighting African music across genres, borders, and languages. While the intentions were very clear to celebrate the best of Africa, the execution was oftentimes flawed. Over the years, a number of missteps, controversies, and dramatic moments began to overshadow the spirit of the awards. And as you'll see, the problems, well, they started from day one. First and foremost, the first ever MTV Africa Music Awards were held in Abuja, Nigeria in 2008, hosted by a, British TV personality named Trevor Nelson. The event featured major international stars including Kelly Rowland, who teamed up with Nigerian artist D'banj for a remix performance of her hit song Like This. Flo Rida also performed, and the game, he was nominated in the Best Hip Hop category and was also in attendance that evening. While these names brought global attention to the event, not everyone was happy about it. Critics argued that the Mamas was supposed to be a celebration of African talent, yet international artists seemed to dominate the spotlight. For example, Alicia Keys won the award for Best R&B Artist, beating out African acts in a category meant to showcase their talent. This wasn't just a one-time occurrence. In 2009, African artists still found themselves competing with American stars in categories like Best R&B, Best Hip Hop, and Best Alternative, categories that saw both African and international acts nominated. Although that year, to be fair, African acts ultimately swept all the wins, the backlash was loud enough to push organizers to rethink the format. By 2010, the Mamas introduced a Best International Act category, effectively separating international performers from African-centric awards. The 2009 edition of the MTV Africa Music Awards took place in Nairobi, Kenya, and was hosted by Haitian-American rapper Wyclef Jean. From the very start, Wyclef made sure the spotlight was firmly on him as he rolled onto the red carpet riding a mini quad bike, instantly grabbing the attention of the audience and setting the tone for what would become a chaotic and unpredictable night. His entrance alone signaled that the evening was going to be anything but conventional. But the craziness didn't stop there. During the ceremony, Wyclef took things to another level when he challenged fellow artist Akon to a push-up contest on stage. Yeah, you heard that right. A push-up contest on a music award stage. What began as a playful challenge quickly spiraled into something more outrageous as both artists stripped off their shirts. The situation escalated even further when they both began removing their trousers in front of the audience. The crowd was left stunned, and viewers at home didn't hesitate to express their shock either. What was intended to be a family-friendly event celebrating African music and culture had quickly transformed into something that resembled a late-night anything-goes party. In 2014, the Mamas were held in Durban, South Africa for the first time. American actor and comedian Marlon Wayans was chosen as the host, likely to inject humor and international appeal into the ceremony. However, his performance quickly sparked widespread backlash. Through the event, Wayans portrayed an American reporter who stereotyped African talent during staged interviews. While some defended his humor as satire, many South African viewers took to social media to voice their discomfort. Reactions, they ranged from irritation to outright anger, which critics argued that his jokes were tone-deaf. To make matters worse, Wayans repeatedly mispronounced the names of African talents, as well as the names of the very South African province he was standing in, KwaZulu-Natal. What was supposed to be a proud celebration of African music turned into a glaring example of how international figures can miss the mark when representing cultures they haven't taken the time to fully understand. In a BET interview a month after the awards, Marlon Wayans addressed the backlash over his controversial hosting stint at the MTV Africa Music Awards. He downplayed the criticism, claiming it stemmed primarily from a single article that was echoed across the media. According to Wayans, his jokes aimed at mocking American stereotypes about Africa rather than targeting Africans themselves. Defending his comedic style, he remarked, "Satire is something that's often overlooked, and oftentimes people don't get the joke because they're overly sensitive." In 2021, the MTV Africa Music Awards was set to make a highly anticipated return, this time in Kampala, Uganda, marking the first edition in over 4 years since the last ceremony in 2016. The ceremony was scheduled to be aired live on MTV Base, for the event to be broadcast globally across 180 countries for the first time. And MTV partnered with Uganda's Ministry of Tourism to promote the event. However, shortly after the announcement, concerns began to emerge. The awards were slated to take place just weeks after Uganda's highly disputed presidential election, which led to a widespread public unrest, legal challenges, and human rights concerns. This created a significant amount of controversy, especially considering the circumstances surrounding the election. Activists, artists, and fans began calling for a boycott, with many feeling that the event was overlooking serious social issues for the sake of publicity. Social media reactions flooded in, and hashtags like #MTVMama and #BoycottMamas began trending topics. There were also calls to relocate the ceremony, with many pointing out that the event's initial timing might have been insensitive to the ongoing situation in the country. On February 4th, just before the show was about set to air, MTV Base officially announced that the event would be postponed, citing health and safety concerns. However, many believe that the postponement was a response to the growing backlash surrounding the country's political climate. What was intended to be a triumphant comeback for the Mamas instead became a striking example of how entertainment platforms, no matter how global, can't detach themselves from political realities of places they operate in. While the Mamas had their share of missteps, they also played a major role in pushing African music onto the global stage. From giving artists international exposure to shaping pop culture across the continent, their impact was undeniable. But alongside the success came controversy, raising questions that still linger today. What went wrong? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and switch on the notification to be alerted whenever the Urban Archivists upload a video. Peace, and see you soon.